Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Always Arsenal show. Well, tonight I've got a very special guest with me. He's not an Arsenal fan, although he is an Arteta fan, and we're going to talk about that. To the left of me or the right of me, wherever way you're looking, welcome Mark Goldbridge to the show.
Welcome. Thank you very much for having me on.
Oh, you are welcome, Mark. We did do a pod, didn't we, a few years ago when I was on the other podcast.
We did. You see, this is the thing. I don't do many collaborations now, so I only do it with people that I think are good. So there you go. You've got one of the few appearances that I've ever done with Arsenal people, and I'm happy to be back.
Oh, Mark, you're so lovely because I'm not. I'm still quite nervous as a host. I've only done his shows for a few months. I love being a podcast guest. I've done that for about 12, 13 years on all different Arsenal pods.
Yeah.
But I don't really like hosting. It's bizarre.
Yeah.
I like just sitting and chatting about Arsenal, and stuff. But no, this is my new show on the Same Old Arsenal channel. And all I can say is welcome to everyone in the live chat. I can see so many new people. Thank you for joining us. I'm sure it's not because of me. I'm sure it's because of my guest, the wonderful, delightful, mad as well, Man United fan.
Yeah, I've not been called that this afternoon. I've been called a lot of things this afternoon, and wonderful and delightful was not that. So it's nice to have a bit of positivity.
I'm just so happy that you're here. It's really nice. I mean, look, obviously the main reason is because we play you at the Emirates on Saturday, 12:30. And as of this week, we'd lost 3 games on the trot. And as far as we're concerned, it was the end of the world at Arsenal. A lot of Arsenal fans don't really understand that we're in transition. And probably in the position you're going to be in when your brand new manager who's just signed today is going to come in. But
yeah,
we then get to this week. You go to Anfield, we go to Stamford Bridge. Now, I can tell you now, not many Arsenal fans thought we were going to win at the Bridge. I don't care what anyone says. The only person that did, Mark, was my other half, who came in the kitchen about 6 o'clock last night and went, going to be a high-scoring game. We're going to win it 4-3 or 3-2. And I'm like, are you mental? We haven't scored a goal in weeks, and it feels like that, and we haven't won a game. To go to Chelsea, and honestly, Mark, yesterday morning I tweeted, it would be so Arsenal to go to the Bridge and get a result. So we go back to the night before, which I'm sure you don't really want to discuss, but we are, okay? You've gone to Anfield, and I know I'm going to upset a lot of people here, but welcome to the show, all the Man United fans that I don't know and you don't know me, okay? Let me just give you a quick history on me. I'm 52, nearly 53, and I've been going to Arsenal since I was 4. I've seen us win the league at Anfield. I was there that night, which I'm sure you were all cheering, us winning that.
We were, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, 1989. How old were you there, Mark?
Single figures. I don't want to give too much away, but definitely single figures.
I wasn't. I was double figures. I was nearly 19.
Yeah.
Best footballing night of my life. And I know you've had quite a few. But the reason I'm saying all this is because I want your fans that are in this chat room tonight, I can see many, to understand that I've been through it all. I've had the good, the bad. And I remember Liverpool of the 80s. No one could beat them. Fortress Anfield, forget it. We just never win. So for us to go there that night and do that is incredible. It is the best footballing night of my life. Doubt it'll ever be beaten. And I love the way that Man City fans think that their game with Aguero scoring to knock you off the league was bigger. It isn't, Mark, and it's not because I'm biased. I understand what they're saying, that they beat you to the league and obviously your rivals. But we went to Anfield and did it, and it's a totally different. They beat QPR.
And it was a head-to-head, wasn't it, as well?
Yeah, it totally. And no one beat Anfield in the 80s. So, and then we come into the 90s, and this is where you come into your own. So you've got Alex Ferguson, who all Arsenal fans can't stand, but utterly respect. Utterly respect. What a manager. Little bit like Roy Keane. I can't stand him, but what a player. There's no doubt what a player. Coming to the 90s, Mark, don't we?
And what a rivalry as well that was.
Well, you take it by storm, really, don't you? We win the league at well, we do win the league at Old Trafford, but that's in 2002. We win the league 89. We then win the league, I think, 91. I'm terrible on dates. We win a few cup finals, and then all of a sudden you emerge with your boys, with the Beckhams, the Scholes, and it becomes the rivalry between us two, because it was a level playing field, changed when Abramovich walked in the door. Yeah. And that's not me being bitter, but the rivalry was more natural back then to what it is now. You look at City, which we can talk about in a moment, and Chelsea, you know, and it for me, as an old school football fan, it's ruined football. It needs to be a level playing field. It's not. So, Mark, this show isn't about me, but I just wanted to tell your fans that I can see in the chat room.
That's interesting to know.
A little bit about me. I got loads of stories I could tell you all.
Unfortunately, all Arsenal related.
Well, no, I've been to Old Trafford many times. I love coming.
That's more than most of our fans, to be fair.
Well, they're all coming up with me on the motorway, aren't they, from London? So, Mark, I want to know about you. So, I want you to tell the people, the Arsenal fans in there as well, your story. How did you become a United fan?
Well, for me, it's I'm from Nottingham, which is why I get called a Forest fan. Which
I've heard that.
That's absolutely fine. You know, to be fair, being a United fan, you always get called a glory fan, which was quite interesting in the late 80s because we weren't actually that good, but you still got called a glory fan back then. It's always been the thing, and I think, I mean, it's the reason I support United. I mean, I suppose my granddad might have been the ultimate glory fan, although probably not. He just fell in love with the Busby Babes of the sort of mid to late 50s.
Yeah,
and he was a massive. I mean, you shouldn't know who Duncan Edwards is as a 6-year-old from Nottingham, but I just knew this name because he was obsessed by him, and obviously he was a fantastic young Busby Babe who unfortunately died in the Munich tragedy. And that's, my granddad just loved the Busby Babes and what they were all about. This young team that Sir Matt Busby built, brought players in like Sir Bobby Charlton down from the northeast. Dudley was where Duncan Edwards was from, and built this really exciting team that went into Europe. And I think it captured the nation. That team sort of captured the nation because they were the first ones to go into Europe. And then obviously the tragedy was horrific. I think, you know, in any era that would be horrific if you imagined it happening to a team. You know, now everybody would be, you know, it happened to that Brazilian team, didn't it? And everyone was like, you know, distraught about it. So that's where it started. My mum then carried it on. She was in love with George Best in the late 60s. And then, I mean, my dad's a Chelsea fan, which is funny. A lot of people, there is no Nottingham Forest fan in my immediate family. So, but I just grew up with football. People absolutely love football. So, and Manchester United was the team. And I'd basically consume as much football as I could.
What's your earliest memories of going to Old Trafford?
First game I went to was the quarterfinal. It was around my birthday of the FA Cup in 1989. So the same year that you won the league, we got drawn against Forest, and it was because it was near my birthday. I used to get taken to Forest a lot because mum and dad separated. So my dad would take me to watch Forest, and I got to see Gaza and. I remember Arsenal winning 4-1 there, and it was on the TV, but we actually went to watch it as well. I think I remember Alan Smith scored a goal. So I used to get to see all these great players like Gary Lineker, Gaza. I remember Mirandinha, the first Brazilian in the league who was at Newcastle. And anyway, we drew Forest in the quarterfinals, and it was near my birthday. And my dad says, "Oh, I'll take you to Old Trafford." So that was my first time, and Forest actually won 1-0. It was like complete and utter shock, and then. Was the semi-final was Hillsborough, which I actually went to because we'd said on the way up that I'd said, he said if they win, it'll be I'll take it to the semi-final. So he still took me to the semi-final, but it wasn't United. So obviously that was the Hillsborough. But yeah, that's my earliest memory. But I remember going to Highbury. I've been to Highbury like in the late 80s, I think about 80s, early 90s. I really liked Highbury. I just liked how tight it was and everything like that. So I went to quite a few grounds, but Dad took me to quite a few grounds, to be fair. So, and that's why I can talk about Arsenal and Chelsea and everybody else, because I think everybody's like it now. But I just love football. So Man United's my team, but I can just be doing this has just made me even more capable of just zoning out and watching a game of football and being quite pragmatic and honest about it, which is why when I talk about Arteta, it just confuses me why Arsenal fans can't see what he's trying to do, because maybe it's easier to see as an outsider.
Well, there's we'll get to that because I want to discuss coming up to current. So during the 90s, that's where I want to hit on, because that's where we were. You know, we've had Pizzagate with you. We've had Ruud van Nistelrooy. I was going to get all the pictures today. I'm sorry, I've just been so busy working. I wanted to get Ruud van Nistelrooy. We've had with Martin Keown. We've had, you know, Wayne Rooney diving when he broke our record for 49 undefeated, 100% dived. Young Mark.
Right, if you leave your leg in, you know, I'm a firm advisor that if someone leaves a leg in like that, you've got to take a tumble. And this was before VAR, so you've got no chance of it being overturned, did you?
Yeah, absolutely. No, you have no chance of it being overturned because it's at Old Trafford. Let's not even go there, Mark, young Mark. I love the fact that you love Highbury, because I miss Highbury, you know, and if you were there late 80s, we were probably in the same ground at the same time. So it's great that we've got all these memories, but your memories are slightly different because you won the treble. Now, young Mark, let me tell you what happened outside Highbury one day in Jan or Feb. We used to stand opposite the Marble Halls. And my dad used to know quite a few journalists at the time. There was no social media or anything like that. And came over to us and he went, "What do you think for the league this year?" Because it was both between you and us. And I looked at him and I said, "United are going to win the treble." And this is what he said to me, "Mark, and what do you know?" Being female, I assume. So I said, "I've just got this awful feeling they're just going to win the treble. It was either your treble or our double." And he said, "You're so negative." And I said, I just don't know why. It was February time. And then obviously Bergkamp missed the penalty.
Cracking game that was.
Ryan Giggs takes his top off. Vieira passes the ball to you lot. No one challenges. Dixon should have taken him out. I've often had this conversation with Lee Dixon. Yeah. And obviously it's the moments, isn't it? Bergkamp scores, we're through. You're not winning the treble. As an Arsenal fan, we've won the double. And it's very, very special. But winning the treble, I want to know about that experience from you.
Yeah, I mean, my life went through quite a big change that year as well. So I would remember that season anyway, but it was an amazing season. The group stage in the Champions League was really difficult. We had Bayern Munich and Barcelona. The knockout stages, I think it was, if I remember correctly, definitely Inter Milan, Juventus, and then we played Bayern Munich in the final, obviously. Arsenal had just come off the back of the double. And that's what makes it really special, is that every team we played was really, really tough in the Champions League. And obviously then we were against you domestically, which was I personally think the double team of 98 is better than the Invincibles, but that's not an argument I want to get into. And I just think that's what made that treble so special, is that it was so difficult to win. And even the last game of the season, we had to beat Spurs because you could still win the league. As you say, the FA Cup semi-final was so tight. The Champions League was epic. I hope it never gets beaten, because I don't think it can be it can be beaten by a quadruple. Liverpool could do it. And I don't think anything can really ever eclipse how difficult it was. I mean, Bayern Munich were going for their own treble as well. So we weren't just up against you for the FA Cup and the league. We're also up against a very good Bayern Munich side. So it was great. It's great to win a treble, but to win it in the circumstances with all the highs, all the late goals, and to be pushed so hard by a very good Arsenal side and a very good Bayern Munich side and a very good Juventus side, it was just perfect. And I remember about 2:00 in the morning, I lived in Ireland at the time, and I was on the beach with a few United fans with a bottle of whiskey and a cigar. And I just remember saying, it's like one of those lines you always remember. I was like, I just don't want to go to bed because I don't want to wake up and this to be over, because it will never be this good again. And it never has been. It never has been that good. You knew with that Solskjaer winner, it could never be that good. And even now I get goosebumps from it. But you know what? I lived it, and not many football fans get that. So, you know.
Well, I know, because for me, that's my Michael Thomas moment at Anfield. You know, I can, and I had the pleasure of interviewing all of them at an Arsenal Fan TV premiere. The 89 premiere and Arsenal Fan TV were there. And literally, Robbie just gave me the mic. He said, "No one knows Anfield 89 better than you." And I'm like, I'm not an interviewer, but I did it. And all those videos are on YouTube. I'll always have that for life. And I remember saying to Mickey Thomas, "Why did you not score the first chance? Why did you put us through this?" And, you know, it's those memories that makes it so special for football fans. And Mark, you and I are lucky, okay? We've had great success through our life. The early 80s for an Arsenal fan were terrible. Spurs were winning cups. We were awful. We were like 10th in the league. Highbury was half full. I remember slow hand clapping, putting my feet over the seat in front. So if, I'm not going to jump up yet to now, but you've been a very strong, massive global club for many, many years. And for me, Ferguson put you there. Now, Ferguson's reign didn't start off very well, did it? And in this day and age, Mark, you'd have had what we have with Arteta out, wouldn't you?
Yeah, 100%. I think I always say to people that football knowledge is power, and football fans today are more powerful than I was at 15, 16, because I knew nothing about the wider Europe. I didn't really know much about the wider Premier League or Division 1 as it was then, because you didn't have the internet, you didn't have subscriptions to this, that and the other, and you only really knew about foreign players when England played them in an international. So these days, football fans have so much more access to loads of things and loads of information. And with that, I think becomes almost higher expectations. You've got social media, so you can drive an opinion. I'm not sure Sir Alex Ferguson would have retired. I mean, people tried to compare Ollie to Sir Alex, and I always used to say, well, there's no point. There's no point, because it was a different time. Money wasn't as important, and you didn't have social media. And yeah, Sir Alex Ferguson probably would have been hounded out of the club in the late 80s, because I think he came in like November 86, and we didn't win a trophy until 1990 May FA Cup. So that's 4 years. You probably wouldn't get 4 years. I mean, I think even now the longest manager's Klopp, isn't it? So, football's moved on, but I'm glad it has, because, well, I'm glad it wasn't like that then when I was growing up, because we wouldn't have got that. But having said that, I don't think that you can tell, and you can tell if somebody's doing something right. And I think Arteta's doing something right. I think you could tell Ollie was never going to do it right. And you can give him 3 years, you can give him 3 months. I mean, David Moyes never should have had the United job, and for me, he got 9 months too long. You give him 9 years, he still wouldn't have gone anywhere.
Mark, anyone coming in after Ferguson, it's the same for Wenger. Anyone coming in straight away. I felt sorry for David Moyes, and look at the job he's doing at West Ham.
Seriously, yeah, that's his level, though. Brilliant. Everton, West Ham, brilliant, but you wouldn't want him at Arsenal.
But you say that's his level, but West Ham are not far behind you. It's a couple of points in it at the moment.
Yeah, and they're fantastic. And I remember Everton being a team that used to fight for fourth, and no one ever really thought they should be, and they did. David Moyes at an Everton or a West Ham will overachieve, but if you give him an Arsenal job or a United job or a Chelsea job, he'll underachieve. And there's plenty of managers like that. I remember Mike Walker at Norwich. I'm sure you remember him as well.
Yeah.
You'd never want him to have the United or Arsenal job, but at Norwich, he took him into Europe and did a great job.
Yeah. It's fascinating how our rivalry during the 90s. I mean, we won. So if we come out of the 90s and then obviously 2002.
I was out that night.
I wasn't there that night. I remember.
Was that Will Tord and somebody else?
Yeah, Will Tord and Khan, who jumped over him. And then you've got this famous Arsenal fan who's now famous because of it. He was shown in the crowd going mental. Just this one man with his curly hair.
Yeah, I remember him.
Remember him? Yeah. And wasn't there. One of the very rare times I've not seen us win the league, but it was the most incredible because, again, going to Old Trafford is not easy, and doing what we did that season. What did it feel like? Because obviously we were your main rivals.
Yeah, I mean, I remember that night because I was still living in Ireland, and it was my leaving do. So it would have been about April 2002, wasn't it? Something like that.
Yeah.
And it was on. I was in the Hairy Lemon pub in Dublin city centre, and it was on downstairs. And I'd had a few beers, and I remember being at the bar. My mate said, "Arsenal are winning 2-0. They're all over us," and I was like, "Don't care. It's my leaving do. I'm just going to get drunk." And I think that was sort of how I felt about United at that time. I think we'd won 3 titles in a row after '99. We hadn't really invested that well in the squad, and we were about ready for another rebuild. And I think Sir Alex obviously realised that as well. And Arsenal at that point, obviously, I think you didn't realise it yourself, but you were going to have a good couple of years, and then that was going to be the end of your league titles as well. So Yeah, I felt like we needed a bit of a reset at that point, and we'd had a lot of success. But the rivalry with Arsenal was always proper, though. I mean, it was. When Wenger came in and they won that double, I think Sir Alex knew they weren't messing about. And a lot of the times we'd play you, chuck Phil Neville in the midfield and, get a bit rough, because I think toe-to-toe football-wise, Sir Alex will admit it was difficult against Arsenal. So he had to be a bit wily and a bit, physical at times.
I remember, and I don't know what year it is, but I'm sure someone will remember this. I remember playing you in a cup final at Cardiff, and you absolutely hammered us, but we won on penalties. It was Vieira's last game.
I remember that one. I was around my brother-in-law's, and I just couldn't believe it. I was just watching. I was like, we absolutely hammered you, and just couldn't put the ball in the back of the net. And then went to penalties, and it was one of them ones where you go, we're going to lose on penalties, because you can't dominate a team that much and then win on penalties, and we didn't.
It was, I could not believe it. I remember us singing USA, USA, because we didn't have Kroenke then, and then we got Kroenke. It was like karma. But that was Vieira's last game for us, I think. It's so hard to remember. I got a terrible memory with football. So many games. Obviously, Anfield 89, I can remember from the minute I got up to the minute I went to bed and celebrating a Highbury. But over the years, our battles have just been phenomenal. Fabregas was in our team. I mean, obviously, the main one is Vieira and Keane. I mean, I remember being at Highbury, and I sat in the stand where the tunnel was, so I didn't see the fracas with Neville and Keane and Vieira. When as I say it, Mark, when football was football, that for me, toe to toe, Keane got away with a terrible tackle on Vieira in the first few minutes, because it was the first few minutes, because it was United. That's how Arsenal fans always felt. You got away with so much more. But it's just so different now. So now we come into 2004. Okay, so we win with the Invincibles. A couple of years later, we want Wenger out. It starts all that situation, and we really go down to the levels of just trying to win an FA Cup. We're not winning the league. I think 2008 we were close, but and then we have turmoil we won 3 FA Cups. Sorry, that's not the turmoil, obviously. We win 3 FA Cups. For me, Arsene Wenger should have gone when we beat Hull. He didn't. He stayed. It's such a shame, because what a wonderful man he was for us for the first 10 years. Unbelievable. Unbelievable what he did. Him and George Graham are my favourite managers, obviously. But then it completely changes, and we're not in touch. We're just managing to get top 4. But you're still there and thereabouts. And when did you... So 99, wasn't it, you won the treble?
Yeah.
When was the last time, obviously, because I don't know your history, when was the last time you won the league?
2013, Van Persie. That was the year.
You had to mention him, didn't you?
Yeah, I loved him. I mean, I know Arsenal fans probably don't love him, but
no.
I always say I love him because we did take a really good Arsenal player who had his better years at Arsenal.
Yeah.
But that one year, he won us the title. I mean, we still had some good players, but I mean, Rooney sort of checked out then, and he was just brilliant. I remember a game against Southampton, we were terrible, and he scored a hat-trick. He was just, he was fantastic. Yeah, but 2013, the last Champions League, 2008. But yeah, I agree with you about Wenger. I think with Wenger, I just think it shows in football. We've seen it with Mourinho. You can be this great manager, and you must always be remembered as a great manager, because it doesn't always end well. Sir Alex was timed it so well. To walk out with the Premier League title and your career intact doesn't always go that way, even with players as well. It's that saying, is it better to burn out than fade away? And a lot of players fade away.
Yeah. The thing is with RVP, let me explain why we have an issue, yeah? I don't have any issues with any players leaving clubs if they leave in the right way. He didn't leave in the right way, Mark.
Yeah.
He went to your place and did this advert. The little boy inside of me always wanted to be a United fan. What are you doing, Van Persie? What are you doing? We've nursed you for 9 years on the injury table. He was completely injured every year. But devastated he went, because what a player. I can't deny what a great player he was. But Wenger made it disrespectful to Wenger and us, because go to United and play your football. I totally understand why you wanted to win a trophy, and at that time you weren't going to with us. It's just the way you do it. There are certain players that leave clubs. Ashley Cole. Yeah. I mean, I can speak for everyone. There's no one that's got any respect for Ashley Cole. No one. But what a player. What an outstanding player. Van Persie. I mean, I'm not going to talk about, I don't know about your players and how they left your clubs, but that's
we had Tevez. Tevez was like that. So funny enough, I was going to say that. Tevez, someone mentioned me Tevez the other day, and I said, in a United shirt, I can't fault him. He gave 100%. He was fantastic. But when you leave and you go to Man City, you know, we wouldn't give him a contract. That's fine. But when you stand on the bus with the trophy and hold up a poster that's negative about Sir Alex Ferguson, you can just jog on, and that's it. But in a United shirt, I can't argue he was a good player. But you ruin your legacy. You can't moan about having a legacy if you do silly things, and that, you know, is probably what you're talking about with Van Persie and Cole.
But why are they doing it? I mean, come on. Bakary Sagna left our club and left us the most beautiful message, and forever he will be loved. Forever. I remember first time I went to the Etihad. And actually, weirdly, first time we've ever won up north in the top four. Sorry. And I was there. It was most bizarre. I was sitting in a box. A friend of mine's got a City friend has got a box. And the next family to me was Stania. And I wanted to go and cuddle them all, even though they didn't play for us. And that's how you leave a club. You say, thank you very much. Love you all. Time to move on. This is my new club. Not do what he did. And I think that's where he lost all the respect of Arsenal fans, you know. Yeah. I mean, you look at in a situation, thank God I've never been in, where Sol Campbell crossed the divide and come to us. It would be like Steven Gerrard coming to you. Exactly the same. Yeah. You know, he didn't slate off Spurs fans, but they hate him and they still do. But anyway, moving on. So let's jump forward a little bit. I want to talk about you. So you're a normal not United fan. You go to the game. How did all this social media start, Mark?
Well, I mean, I say I go to the game. I'd never professed to be a hardcore home and away fan because I've always lived. Well, I left Nottingham when I was about 18 to live in Ireland, and then I've lived all over the place. So I would say, on average, I used to go to maybe 5 games a season, and I'd never professed that I went to any more than that. Yeah. But what happened is I've always loved, whether I was at school or down the pub, love talking about football and very opinionated. We shouldn't be picking him. I remember I definitely remember playing Leeds and Beckham had been dropped for Chadwick, and it was like, he's lost it. Sir Alex, he's lost it. What's he on about? It's about time we start thinking about replacing him. So I've always been probably stupid with my opinions, but opinionated. And anybody who, I remember going to watch United in the early noughties, and anyone who was there always agrees, was that Ryan Giggs used to get jeered quite a lot. He was quite frustrating to watch. Yeah. Legend of the club, but you had to be in the crowd then to know that used to happen. So I just got fed up of Match of the Day and Sky. I think it's very scripted, and having been on it, well, not Match of the Day, but I've been on Sky. It is very scripted. It's very made for TV. You're on in an hour for 5 minutes. We're talking about this. I was just I loved the old, I think it was 606 forum on BBC. You know, you type away after a match and then you wait 10 minutes for someone to reply. And then this YouTube thing, and I thought, well, there must be, I'm just going to upload on YouTube and see what the comments say. And then they had this great thing that was called live streaming, which is a bit like what we're doing now, but way more basic. And we started doing it on a Sunday night at 9 o'clock, just talking about United once a week. And we had about 10 people watching. And I just was fascinated by this number 10. Then it would be 20, and then it'd be 30. And then after about 6 months, it was 100. And then, let's start doing a match reaction. And then let's react to that transfer. And then now it's 8 o'clock show every night, morning shows, match reactions. And it just grew organically. And a lot of people don't like it, but I just think there's a lot of channels when I was coming into it that were owned by media companies pretending to be fan channels. And whether people like what we do or not, everybody sort of copies it now. You know, a lot of people do live content, and a lot of people own their own channels, proper fans owning their own channels. When we came into it, that wasn't the case. There was a company that owned a Man United channel, an Arsenal, not an Arsenal channel to be owned. They never owned an Arsenal channel, a Spurs channel, a Man City channel, and they were all fan channels, but they weren't. They were owned by a media company that ran bloody Britain's Got Talent. So I think you're never meant to agree. I always say on the United Stand, it's an opinion. if you disagree with me, I've achieved what I wanted to achieve, because I've got you thinking about what your opinion is, and that's what got me into this. I only did it because I wanted to have my say with other people and have a proper debate, which I don't think you get on mainstream media. So in some ways, I embrace the people who don't like what we do, because it will get them thinking. It's just the abuse and stuff that goes too far.
Well, Mark, there's an old saying, isn't there? You can't please all of the people all of the time, only some of the people some of the time. And trust me, you know, I've been in football a long time, pre-social media, post-social media. I don't really give a flying F what anyone thinks. I'm very much like you. I say what I've got to say. I'm a fan. It doesn't make me right or wrong. You cannot be right or wrong. It's an opinion. If people don't like it, they don't have to watch you. They don't have to listen. There are certain Arsenal shows I don't listen to. I don't moan about them. I just don't watch them. And I'm sure there's plenty of people that don't watch me and don't like what I do. That's fine. Because I think in life you get, you know, one chance. It's not a dress rehearsal. It's something you really enjoy. You've got to go for it. And you do. And I'm going to jump forward to today. And then we're going to talk a little bit about, I want to ask you a couple of questions. But so today I was sent a link of your, you did a show about Arsenal Spurs, about 10-15 minute show.
Yeah, on That's Football, yeah.
I've never watched, to be honest. I don't have time to watch things, but that was really, really good. And what I loved about this, because you have no interest in Arsenal or Spurs, nothing at all. But what you said, and what I will say is, for people that don't know, I'm totally and utterly 100% and have been since day one, Arteta in. When we lose a game, I'm Arteta in. When we win a game, I have been, and I stand by that. And I stand by the fact that we need to wait for the summer transfer window and give him another few months after that. A lot of people aren't. And I get a lot of abuse for standing up for Arteta. And that's fine. I you know, honestly, people that abuse me, I just laugh. Don't bother me. A little bit old for all that. So how do you deal with it, Mark? How do you deal? Because obviously you're on a much larger scale to me. I'm a little show on a channel called the Same Old Arsenal Channel, and I don't do anything else. I'm just on Twitter, and I enjoy going to the game and chatting to people, but I don't do loads of different shows at different times. You just mentioned the abuse. How'd you handle it?
It wasn't easy at the start, and you know, even now it's not nice when you read some stuff. I mean, the funny thing is, it's sort of, today's been quite an odd day, because we've had this report about Harry Maguire having an email threatening his family, which is horrific.
Yeah.
And then I have had loads of abuse today because apparently I fed it.
Really?
And I fed it because I've been on the UnitedStand saying he needs dropping. He's not had a very good season. So, and this is the world we sort of live in. And it's like, you just have to just box it off and go, at the end of the day, I don't want, like you just said there, if people don't want to listen to me, they don't have to listen to me. I'm strongly against violence. I can't be doing with anything like that. But I'm strongly for people having an opinion on an entertainment. And if I go to a restaurant and I don't like the food, I'm going to complain. If I go and watch a comedian who's not very funny, I might give it a boo. And if I'm watching my team, which I love, which we've just spent half an hour talking about the history of our clubs and how much we love them, if I see a player consistently underperforming in a shirt, and I've seen players over the years, I know the standard, I'm going to say, I think they're a load of rubbish. I don't think they should be playing for the team. So that's sort of where it starts and ends for me. And if people want to make it abusive or personal, then look, and no matter what you do, if there's 10 people, 9 might like you and 1 might be very vocal about how they don't like you.
Yeah.
You're never going to get it. I remember with a family member of mine, they just couldn't stand Posh Spice. And I never understood it. They just didn't like Posh Spice from the Spice Girls. They used to sit there and go, I can't stick her. And I'd be like, why? I just look at the way she's looking. I'd be like, this. And I suppose that was a first example of, there's no logic to what people will really, really not like. They might just tune in and go, look at him. I can't stand his smug face. And it's like, well, you can't do anything about it. So I think in life, focus on the good people and let the haters hate, because, you know, ultimately we're only here for a short time, like you said, and the good people are the only people that matter.
So it's interesting, actually, because I've had a little bit of abuse the last couple of weeks on social media, and how I handle it is I just laugh and sarcastic back. You know, someone insulted me the other day. I said, I'm sure you want to take me on a date, but unfortunately I'm taken. And what that does, Mark, that shows them up. Because I'm not attacking them. I'm just taking the piss out of them. Because you know what? Don't waste your tweet on me. It doesn't get to me. I don't get angry about it. I've got plenty of social media people that I tweet with and, on Instagram and stuff like that, that just have a laugh. I've got hundreds of rival fans that I tweet with constantly. Fantastic. Love them. Away from social media, I've got plenty of fans that, friends that do not support Arsenal. But you're going to come at me. Don't waste your time because, and I think, over the years, I've tried to teach people this. Don't react. Take the piss out of them. Show them up for what they are.
I think you're spot on with that as well, because one thing that I think about some of the viral clips with me, and, it is deliberate. It is deliberate. Instead of getting angry and saying something really vile and abusive about a player, which isn't my personality anyway, I will always try and use comedy. So like, when Phil Jones missed a penalty in a game, he had pink boots on, and I just went mad about the pink boots, because it's like, it's not Phil Jones, it's the pink boots. And then the other night, the defending was terrible, and I was just basically saying, where's the pigeons to crap on these statues? There may as well be statues outside. I'm as angry as anybody else, but I will use something that is just so bizarre, because it's far better than being really personally abusive and hateful to these footballers, because they are people. We're people, but what people need to understand is that football is very real. People are very passionate about it. It's a weekend ruiner if you lose on Saturday lunchtime, like this Saturday lunchtime. It ruins your weekend. So it does impact on your mood. And I see it with United fans. I'm sure you see it with Arsenal fans. I'm a big fan of De Gea. There's a bit of a cult against De Gea. Like they think he's crap. So I will put a picture of De Gea up, and I'll say my keeper, and the replies will just be abuse against me and against him. And I'm just like, but I only need to put the picture of my keeper. I don't need to reply to anybody. And it's like, but people will get really passionate about it. And unfortunately, with passion, there's some people that just cannot.
Yeah.
They have to cross the line. And that's why you get people like Saka and Rashford racially abused after the Euros, because it's a game of football. People will take it too far. And that is, you're going to get that in any society, but you're definitely going to get it in a sport which is very tribal and people are very passionate about their opinions. But I do think comedy and sarcasm is the way to deal with it, which is why it makes me laugh.
Mark, I couldn't agree more. Right, everyone, you're watching the Always Arsenal show on the Same Old Arsenal channel. Please press like. I'm only a little show. Please subscribe to the channel if you're Arsenal, if you're United. You can welcome as well. I do have some rival fans on this chat. I do different shows each week as well. And I can see there's hundreds of questions. I just want to get through with Mark a few more bits, and then I will be asking you to ask him some questions, and I'm sure he'll answer. I just wanted to go back to what we said this week. So you went to Anfield. I'm assuming you expected to lose.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. For me, obviously I have no interest either side. I couldn't care less who wins the league. But I've always wondered this, Mark, because Arsenal, we have one rival, it's Tottenham. That's it. Although a few Arsenal fans now, the younger generation, think it's Chelsea. I'll never understand that. But for me, it's for Tottenham. It's a different situation. You've got Liverpool, you've got City. And you have to answer this. Who is the lesser of two evils for you winning the league this year?
See, I think this is where Man United, and I don't know what happens with Arsenal, the fact that we're such a global club, I think if you're from Manchester, the Man City thing matters more. But as somebody who's not from Manchester, it's always been Liverpool. Like Liverpool, and I think Liverpool fans have this with United over Everton as well.
They do.
We are so intertwined in our history. It's a city rivalry. They've had success. They've had tragedy. We've had success. We've had tragedy. We're so similar, but we can't stand each other in relation to that rivalry. So for me, it always is Liverpool. Anfield's the game I hate the most, because it's, even when we were good, I hate Anfield. I hate that game because it's just so pressure. But to be honest, I didn't feel that on Tuesday. We were a shambles. But yeah, definitely Liverpool for me. So City for the league, hopefully.
So, okay, so I agree with you. And the reason being is I've got Liverpool friends, I've got City friends, I've got United friends. And I find it fascinating when I speak to anyone outside that, when they say, oh, you don't know what you're talking about, it's City. I went, City are not their rivals. No. City were a small club until the money came in. I know this. I know my history, obviously. I know my football. But when I go to Liverpool, Manchester a lot, I love both cities. I love both sets of people. I really enjoy myself up there. I'm always accepted really well. by United fans and Liverpool fans. And you are very similar cities over the situations. You've had your tragedies, and I find it really painful to hear you lot singing the other night about Hillsborough. I find it really painful to hear again about Munich. I often have this conversation with people. I just don't get it because it's an awful situation, absolutely horrific. But yet fans are still singing.
That as well, I think it's such a shame because I said on Tuesday night there was this rumour that there was going to be a applause for Ronaldo in the 7th minute at Anfield, and there was.
Yeah.
And I said, you know what? That is amazing because the rivalry is big, and that just shows you how football's changing in a better way. The rivalries remain, but the respect is building. And then you hear about some of the singing, and you think, but you're always going to get the vocal minority. And the thing is to try and make it less and less by the year until it stops completely. It's like racism, isn't it? It is. There's still racism around. It's not the same as when I was growing up.
No.
And you just hope that in time, especially when you think about what black players had when we were growing up in the 80s to what they get now, they're still getting racism. But, again, you just hope that these things in time will become less and less, because I think there are massive strides going forward.
Well, they should be, shouldn't it? People lost their lives in both tragedies, and it's absolutely awful. So when I speak to United and Liverpool, United fans hate Liverpool fans hate United, it's their big match. To see what we saw on Tuesday night must have been heartbreaking for you, and realised how far you are now away from Liverpool and City. And I watched it, and I have to say, Mark, it was the worst United team I've ever seen. It didn't even look like United. It looked like you just gave up. Now, Liverpool are, unfortunately for both of us, superb. You cannot deny that.
No.
And I watched that game and I thought to myself, God, years ago, we'd be watching a match here. We weren't, Matt. It was like men against boys. So I know your position at the moment. And then obviously we go to the Bridge, and I'm expecting, not as bad, but I'm expecting to lose. I'm sorry. I'm just expecting to lose. So what I saw last night was my manager setting up properly, those players adhering to his tactics and carrying out. Because and a lot of Arsenal fans, they laugh at me because I'm always saying it's the players. But yeah, Arteta, to me, it's both. Harry sets them up. What he did at Southampton was incorrect, was wrong, and we got punished for it. Brighton, when we played Xhaka at left back, I can't remember which one it was. And I will sit here and criticise, but for me, he's the right man for the job. You now today, which wasn't really a secret, was it? It had been muted that he was coming.
Yeah.
What are you pleased? Are you happy with who's coming in?
Yeah, I think it's a fan choice, which is something the club hasn't always done. Most of the ex-players and most of the media wanted Poch. I think Ed Woodward, our previous CEO, wanted Poch, and I think quite a lot of our board wanted Poch. And I think if the fan base had been more 50-50, we probably would have Pochettino. Yeah. But I think the fan base was so vocal that they didn't want Pochettino and they wanted Ten Hag. I think the club had to sit up and look at it more than they wanted to. And I think when they've interviewed this guy and looked into this guy, they've gone, yeah, he actually is somebody that could really make a difference at the club. So I'm really happy with him. I've been saying it for a while. If Arsenal wanted a manager, or Man City or Liverpool or Chelsea wanted a manager tomorrow, they'd all interview Ten Hag. They wouldn't all interview Pochettino. And you've got to think, well, that's a big sign that he's a decent manager. And we've got to start thinking like that. I mean, I think we've got to try and do what Liverpool have done, maybe what Arsenal are doing. Bring a manager in and give them the opportunity and freedom to express their vision. And Ten Hag's a vision manager. You can see how he plays at Ajax. You can see what he's about. The question is, can he step up in the Premier League? But that question is going to be the same with any manager anyway. So I'm excited by it. I think it's going to be a long road. I think the evidence is there. That I saw Carragher saying today a couple of years. I don't know what he's on.
No,
it's not a couple of years.
I saw what you said to him.
Yeah.
I think because of your reputation, but where did it all go wrong? Why have you become so poor? Saying that, you still are 5th in the league, so you're not that poor. But to your standards, what we've been watching, what's gone right and what's gone wrong?
most of it's gone wrong. I mean, look, we speak about this success, and you know, the whole point of being a United fan is that you always, you know, you're greedy, you want more. That's what you want. That's what winners want. And we were never going to keep that success up without Sir Alex. But the drop off the cliff never should have happened. We made this bad decision after bad decision, and that's the frustrating thing. We've spent about 1.2 billion in 9 years. I don't even know if you put 1.2 billion in a bank 9 years ago, you'd expect to at least get 1.2 billion back. I don't know that we'd get 200 million back. I don't know what we spent it on, but we've definitely spent it, and we've spent it so badly. We've given out ridiculous wages. I think we've got 10 of the top 30 best paid players in the league now. And you're like, well, how's that happened? Because we haven't got 10 of the best 30 players in the league at the club. So, yeah, I mean, it's a cliche to say it's down to the ownership, but some of the decisions have just been so bad. I think you'd struggle to make 9 years of bad decisions like that again if you tried. So it comes down to that. We're stuck with players that shouldn't be here. We've wasted a lot of money. We've recruited managers we shouldn't have done. But hopefully this feels like it's a step. It's a different direction. And, you know, hopefully it'll be the right direction.
So I'm just going to bring a few people in now. Jimmy Devils, which I gather is one of yours. Ole and the Bald failed us mostly the Bald. Do you agree with that?
Look, I wanted Solskjaer to get the job, and so did every other United fan. Were we naive and stupid? Yes. But yeah, I think we've all got to take responsibility for Ole. And we're in a worse position now than we were when Mourinho went. So I do sit here quite honestly and say that we wasted 3 years under Solskjaer. He bought, I mean, look, you've got £150 million to spend in a summer, and you spend it on Dan James, Aaron Wan-Bissaka and Harry Maguire. That's not a good summer. And yeah, we can't spend like that again. And the football was abysmal as well. So I love Ole. I love Ole as a player, but as a manager, it was bad.
It's heartbreaking, isn't it, when Ole did what he did for you as a footballer, and then the manager, and then you don't want to hate them, do you? You just don't, you know, you really don't. Sorry, yes, you're sixth. Someone's just pointed that out to me. We're fifth. I just remembered because Tottenham are fourth. Okay, let me see if I've got anything else just related to that. So going forward, you got Ten Hag coming in. I'm assuming he'll have the July transfer window to deal with what he needs.
Yeah.
You know what I think these days, and this is why I'm sort of an Arteta fan, you have to stick with someone. You just can't keep going through managers. It's just the revolving door. I think one of your worst managers was Mourinho, but I absolutely despise him. So I'm a little bit biased on that side. Okay. One of my Arsenal lot, Phil, says, can anyone explain Rashford being on 300 grand? I mean, who gave him that sort of figure?
I don't think he's quite on 300 grand, but he's definitely on over 200 grand a week. Rashford's a really difficult one because it's like 2 years ago, I thought he was amazing, but 2 years of what he's been doing, a lot of people feel he can get back. I hope he can do, but sometimes the writing's on the wall. He is a player that I don't know whether he's had too much too soon. I don't know if he's surrounded by people telling him he's better than he is, because he needs to work on his game a lot. And to be honest, he's like a lot of United players. They've got massive, massive egos that and they're not as good as they think they are. And then until they look in the mirror and say, look, this criticism, I'm feeding it, I think they think they're being criticised unfairly. And what they actually need to do is look in the window and go, look, you control the criticism. If you start playing well, you'll get the praise. But it's a vicious circle of criticism and bad performance.
This is something I was going to ask you that we've just come off of, but I do want to go back to your video as well. This question from a Liverpool fan. I'm a Liverpool fan, but I've got to admit, Ten Hag as a United feel to him, he suits them. Now, I was going to say to you, when Klopp joined Liverpool, you just knew he suited them. Do you feel that what this Liverpool fan is saying, that he's going to suit you? Do you have that feeling?
I think it's too early. I completely agree with you about Klopp. I think Klopp at Liverpool did have that feel that it could turn into what it has done. He's done a fantastic job. I think with Ten Hag,
what it is, Mark, he got them.
Yeah,
he got them. That's it. You have to get your audience, don't you?
And he's very passionate as well. I think with Ten Hag, I want him because based on a lot of it's to do with footballing reasons. The personality, I've got to be honest, I don't really know a lot about his personality yet, and in a way that's a good thing because we'll learn that. So I don't know whether I think I don't want to put too much pressure on him. I think I agree with you. The first thing is to get the right manager and then give them time. the worst thing is to get the wrong manager and give them time. So hopefully we've got the right manager, and we just need to see how the next season goes.
Thanks for your question, Naz. So going back to your video today, I want you to talk to Arsenal fans. You don't have to talk to me because I agree with everything you said. You were talking about Conte for that lot, and you were talking about Arteta for us. So why do you feel Arteta is the right fit? And I love the fact that you said about the haters, because it's so true. It really is. There's a lot of this going on at the moment.
Yeah, I think I watch a lot of football away from United, and I think with United being so bad, you almost are looking around at clubs that are doing things well. And when Arsenal got Arteta, I was really surprised about what he did, where he went sort of parked the bus, a bit like Ollie, and ground out results, won an FA Cup. I remember you having good results against Liverpool and City at the end of that season. And I was surprised because I was like, well, he spent all this time under Pep. He can't want to play back five counter-attacking football. So he's obviously doing it because he's realises he's got to get results in the short term and, provide a bit of a base. And I always knew he was not going to play like that. And then what you've seen over the last couple of years is the removal of, which I think is impressive, and it's something United need to do, Aubameyang and people like that. And I know it was controversial, but he clearly didn't fancy them. And I think Leno's the biggest one, because Leno's a good goalkeeper, and he's like, he's not for me. I want Ramsdale. And the club have done it. Whereas I don't think United would do that. They go, well, you've already got a goalkeeper. So I think the club have backed him. I think it's taken time, but with every step, you've seen improvement. And like even this season, when you lose your first three, in no time they seem to be back up there because they're not drawing. They're winning or they're losing, which I think straight away shows you that the way he's got them playing is that it's not conservative. They fancy themselves to win games, and therefore you're going to lose them along the way because they're trying to win. And even before I think when you lost to Palace, I think you've won 6 of your last 7 or something like that. And I'm like, well, in the Premier League, that's fantastic. So, I watched the game last night. It's not the first time. The way they played out from that goal that Smith Rowe scored first, the confidence that Xhaka had to just hold on to it and pass it, and then Saka to Odegaard, the way they moved the ball, that's more in keeping with what I thought Arteta was going to be because of what he'd done under Pep. So, and you haven't got a number 9. Like if you had a number 9, I think it would be even better. So
we have got a number 9, but he's not scoring at the moment.
Yeah.
That was our second goal. That was beautiful. And even Gary Lineker, who really don't like Arsenal, even he said last night, you have to watch Arsenal's second goal. It is beautiful, especially Xhaka, who gets a lot of I thought
it was Rob Holding, and I've got loads of stick. People go, no, Xhaka. I was like, I wouldn't have thought it was him. Yeah.
No, I can honestly say I'm not his biggest fan. And when he threw his shirt on our pitch, that was it for me. But he last night, and he has done it lately, and he loves Arsenal and he tries his best. That goal last night was absolutely beautiful from Xhaka. He started it, and Emil Smith Rowe, and Smith Rowe and Saka are our boys. They're our boys, and Saka is just phenomenal. Broke my heart when he missed the penalty in the summer. And last night when he took it, I was shaking for him because obviously we wanted to win the game, but I desperately wanted him to score. So he put that to bed. And it is interesting that you support Arteta. Conte at Tottenham, they all love him. There is no Conte out. The split at Arsenal is an absolute joke. But I don't know what you find. Well, it's different because I go to the Emirates every game, and some away. Twitter, social media, YouTube, and all that. Not everyone knows is on social media that goes down the pub at the Tollington or the 12 Pins in I said Highbury, the Emirates. So it doesn't really matter. Social media is great. I love it, and I've hooked up with thousands of Arsenal fans, and it's the most amazing thing. But my life is always revolved around being my dad, my cousin, people that sat around me. They're not on social media. So, and I find it fascinating that, how the change has happened. It's unbelievable. So for me, we wouldn't have known hundreds of people wanted Arteta out, in that stage. But the support he is getting, and our away fans, I have to say again, were absolutely magnificent last night. We're singing his name from beginning to end. And that's what I mean. Not everyone's on social media. Yeah. Okay, so you feel he's the right man for Arsenal, yeah?
I think at the moment, yeah. I'm not saying he's going to win you titles, and I suppose that comes into Expectations, expectations. I mean, do Arsenal fans really think that they should be fighting for a title at the moment? I would say, as an outsider, you're doing really well and you're heading in the right direction. But I think if you think you should be a top four club every year, maybe that's your aspiration in the short term. Yeah, but ultimately, I think I predicted fifth for Arsenal at the start of the season, and people said you're mad. So you're fighting for fourth. So expectations are changing very, very quickly in Arsenal fans, and that's always. It's whether he can keep up with the expectations of the fans, because that's when you have problems.
Well, it's interesting. So Jimmy Devils again. Arteta would have failed massively at United. Probably would have. But my point is this. At the beginning of this season, Mark, we lost 3 games. Brentford away, City away, Chelsea home. Anyone then would have said to us that we were fighting for fourth, I'd have thought was mental. And needed to, go and have a sit down. But we are. And that is credit to him and also the players, of course. And the Aubameyang thing, Mark, was the right thing for the club. End of story. Doesn't matter. He wasn't trying. There was a lot of issues. I get a lot of abuse for this, but I'll say what I've got to say. It was better for him. He's doing well at Barcelona, and it is better for us. But yes, you were right in what your video said. Why didn't we get a striker in January? It's not that easy, Mark. Just to go in the winter market and find a striker that you want, not just for 4 months, that you want in your plans. And yes, it has left us thin. And yes, we are short of goals, apart from last night. But okay, so Arteta, for me, needs to be given a chance. At the beginning of the season, Mark, I said, let's just get back into Europa football. That was my aim. And I think that was a lot of Arsenal's fans' aims as well. Unfortunately, now the expectations have gone higher because we could possibly hit Champions League. I'm not sure we're going to do it. I think we'll hit 5th. I think Tottenham will. I think they've got an easier run in. Whenever they go to Anfield, they don't lose. And we've got to go there. So it's all to play for, look. So let's head up to Saturday. You come into the Emirates, and what's your thoughts on the game?
The problem we've got at the moment is the team's not very good, and it almost looks like it's not trying. And we've got a lot of injuries. Now, I think Arsenal are struggling with that, to be fair. You've got fullbacks and Partey's out. But what Arsenal have got is an enthusiasm, and they are behind the manager. It's very clear they're behind the manager. So I think, well, look, Arsenal are favourites. They're favourites because if anybody deserves top 4, we don't, and Arsenal or Spurs do. So Arsenal are favourites for many reasons, but I think they're favourites because they're at home. I do think Arsenal will win it, because I think if United play like they did against Liverpool and Leicester and Everton, you'll see an United side that's just not up for the fight. But if they were up for the fight, I think we might get something out of it. But I don't know that. It just got the feeling of a Saturday lunchtime 2-0 to Arsenal. United are flat, and Arsenal get the job, and Arsenal get the job done.
Now, any other time I would have agreed with you, Mark, because you're quite poor and you come into the Emirates. But even Arteta has said today, we need the fans on Saturday because we're going to be tired.
Yeah. And that's a great point, because Wednesday night to Saturday morning, it's not good. That it is a really quick turnaround, especially when you've had to you can't rotate. And we probably will have 3 or 4. I mean, Ronaldo will play on Saturday, he didn't play on Tuesday. So, and
also not only that, you've got a new manager bounce. Sometimes it gives a lift to the players. They've got to start proving themselves a little bit. I just have to say thank you to Joseph. Oh my God, it's Mark. Hey, Mark, miss your love. £20 to the channel. Thank you so much for your little donation. That's lovely. Really appreciate that. Thank you. So it's going to be interesting Saturday, because after watching you on Tuesday night, we were like, we've got this. They're terrible. We've got this. But so many little factors are changing. We're going to be knackered. We can't rotate, really. We can't. We've got 3 major injuries. Hopefully, Tomiyasu will be back on the bench and then come on, hopefully. You've got your new manager bounce. You've got your players that have got something to prove, because you got actually lambasted on Tuesday night, didn't you? So I actually think, unfortunately for Arsenal, it's going to be a draw. I do.
Yeah, a draw wouldn't be a bad result for us as well.
I know, but it's not good for us because we want top 4, you know, and for our rivals to pip us, it will probably be Tottenham. But okay, so just a couple of little funny questions. So who's your favourite ever United player?
Roy Keane, definitely Roy Keane. Yeah, I just think when it's not about talent, although I think he was underrated. I think he was a very good player. I'd actually, because I lived in Nottingham, I'd seen him at Forest before he'd come to United, and he scored a lot of goals there. But no, I just think Roy, you love those players. I don't like John Terry. I didn't like Tony Adams, and I didn't like Steven Gerrard. But I imagine each of those clubs feel the same. When you've got a player on the pitch that you know is basically your manager, your fan, and everything on the pitch, and they're good at football. Roy Keane just embodied what United was for a few years. He was great. So yeah, Roy Keane for me. I love Beckham though. I love Beckham.
Who's your favourite Arsenal player?
Current or ever?
Ever. You can do past and present.
I think past. I would probably say. You've got to say. For me, it'd be Bergkamp or Henry. Very different players, but I just think I'd probably say Bergkamp because he was more likeable. Henry used to just score against us, which I didn't like. But, so one of those two. And then the modern day, it's funny because I remember Arsenal coming to Old Trafford a few years ago in the autumn, and it was raining. It was a night match, and Saka played, and it was probably his breakout season. I thought he looks really good. And then I've watched him so many times this season. And you know what? Beckham did this. Ronaldo did this. They had a really bad experience in an international tournament. And then they had an amazing domestic season. Yeah. Now, you look at Rashford. He missed a penalty in the seasons he's had. I'm not saying it's because he missed the penalty and the abuse, but you look at and Saka missed the key penalty, didn't he? And the abuse he got. To go and have a season where, when I watch Arsenal, he's not just playing well. He's like a senior pro in the team. He's an instigator. He's a focal point. I think Saka's very impressive. If I could get a player from Arsenal, I'd take him tomorrow. Yeah.
Yeah, I think most teams would. So my favourite is hard to say really, because Keane is definitely someone I admired. Couldn't stand him. Hated him so much. But what a player was Brian Robson. And I used to love your Steve Bruce, your Gary Pallister. Not love them, but it was in awe of, their defensive capabilities. Steven Gerrard was one of my favourites from another rival team as well. But those sort of players are their clubs. Tony Adams was Mr. Arsenal. End of story, and it's fascinating over the years now. Maybe because I'm a bit older. I don't know. I look at Saka and Emil Smith-Rowe, they could be my children, and I look at them like that and I just want to wrap them up in cotton wool, and the way they're progressing is phenomenal. Oh, we've got another little donation. Who's this from? Okay, it's a question for you, Mark. Would Mark have taken Sean Dyche as new manager from MMY? Yeah, 7 bro. Thank you for your donation.
I think he would have been a funny manager, but I wouldn't take him at Man United on a serious note.
No. But so when Henry and Bergkamp came to Old Trafford, was it scary times for you lot?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's not many teams I can think back when United were great that you were worried about. Like, you were always capable of losing a game. Anyone can lose a game, and it pisses me off in the modern day how people just don't realise you can have a bad game. You can have a bad game and you can lose a game. It's like what you said. If we lose a game, I'm still behind the manager. But in the modern day, it's almost like if a player puts in a bad performance or you lose a game, get them out, sell them, this, that, and the other. But with United and Arsenal, there was a few years where it was like, I don't know. I don't know how this is going to go today. They're good enough to really beat us. And I think that there's not been many teams when we were good that I was worried about. And Arsenal were a team that we were worried about for a few years. So, and Thierry Henry and Bergkamp were massive parts of that,
You could always tell when you weren't worried about us. Ferguson and Wenger had this massive rivalry, and then all of a sudden Ferguson liked Wenger. That was when we weren't.
You're exactly right,
it's so obvious. And Mourinho was like that with Wenger at your place as well. But, right, are you okay for a few more minutes, Mark, just to get some questions in?
I've got about 5-10 minutes, is that all right?
Lovely, thank you. Right, guys, get your questions in. But I love what Barnaby Jones has just said. Mustafi was a good player for us United fans. Yes, he was. Okay, so I'm just going to try and pick some questions out. Yeah, I mean, look, you talk about players you can't stand, but players with class. Cantona, wow.
He was just such an icon, Cantona. I mean, I was very young, but he almost has this rock star status. He was a rock and roll footballer. Cantona, he was iconic. Think about Di Canio at West Ham, but then at an actually big club. Like he was just he was an aura player, Cantona. And we did win titles, but we didn't win a Champions League with Cantona. It was he was of his own time, really. But it was fantastic. That early 90s team was fantastic, the 94 team. We have Paul Ince on the show quite a lot, and that team was fantastic. Steve Bruce, like you said, Hallister, that was a great team.
Well, they're my era as well. But right, so Arsenal for Life's got a question for you. Your favourite United side?
Yeah, it's so boring because people say, what's your favourite moment? What's your favourite United side? And you can't not pick the if you lived it, you can't not pick the treble winning side. It was the perfect season, perfect end, and I mean for me, the front four rotated a lot. But I've never seen a midfield, and we don't even really have midfields like that anymore. But I'll always say, name me a better four. You've got Beckham, who wasn't really a player that beat players but had dead ball. You've got Giggs, who was a skillful player, and then you've got Keenan Scholes. It was just an amazing midfield four.
Scholes was such a fantastic player, such a quiet boy, wasn't he? Just never got involved in the social side of things, went home, did his football, and that was it. But what a player he was. Okay, so let's jump to Sebastian wants to know, would Mark blame the board if Ronaldo was sold by Ten Hag, whatever you say, how you say his name?
I think Ronaldo will do what Ronaldo wants to do, so I don't think I'd blame anybody. I think one thing Ronaldo has shown this season is that he can still score goals, and if the PSG came in and said, do you want a season in the Champions League, you might go. I don't think United are in a position to say they're going to sell Ronaldo. I don't think anybody is. I think Ronaldo decides he's going, so if Ronaldo goes, it will be sad, but I don't think it will be down to Ten Hag or the board.
You think it'll be down to him?
Well, you need a buyer, don't you? He's on such big money.
God,
you can't just decide to sell him. Someone's got to want to buy him. So,
yeah. Impulse has got a question for you. Mark, if you could do I think you mean swap deal, with any players between Arsenal and United, who would you choose?
Well, I would go for Saka because we do need a right-sided attacker, and he's probably the number one player I'd take from Arsenal. And to be fair, I wouldn't mind Gabriel to play with Varane. We need a centre-back. And I'd take Thomas Partey over any CDM. So they're the three. We need a centre-back, a CDM, and a right winger. We do need a striker, but you haven't got one. You need one, so there's no one I'd take.
Running on to this next question from Carl Stark, which number 9 does Mark feel would take us to the next level? That's Arsenal, by the way.
Yeah, I think for Arsenal, that Vlahovic looked like a good player for you, and obviously he chose elsewhere. I think that was a good one, and then I think we're probably in the same sort of position. I think we're all looking for strikers, and the one that looks decent at the moment is Darwin Núñez at Benfica. He looks, and I think he would suit Arsenal. He probably would be better off going to Arsenal because we will still have Ronaldo. Whereas if he goes to Arsenal, he might have Champions League football, and he certainly would start. So I don't think there's a striker out there at the moment that I go, yeah, they're nailed on, going to do well, unless you've got the money for Erling Haaland. So I think there's people like Isaac, there's Jonathan David, there's Darwin Núñez, Osimhen. They're all good shouts that could be Lacazette or could be the next Aguero. You just don't know. But I think Darwin Núñez looks like a good shout.
Okay, and we've got another little donation. I've never had so many little donations. Thank you, Khalid Hussein. Mark, are you worried about Man Utd finances, 500 million in debt?
I am worried about it, but only as worried as I've been for the last 15 years with it. We shouldn't have it. They shouldn't have been able to buy us in debt. It's disgusting. You shouldn't be able to buy a football club with none of your own money, and the Glazers have done that. And they've, they're not owners that most fans want. In fact, all fans don't want them. But the debt, most businesses can carry debt. We'll keep carrying the debt. I wish we didn't, but it's not been a huge problem. Which, like I say, we've still spent $1 billion over 9 years. So yeah, I know a United fan likes it. I don't like it, but it's not really something that's going anywhere.
No. Okay, I'm going to find one more, and then I'm going to let you go. Let's have a look. Are we going? Well, ask him. Are we going to see Mark on this channel often?
I'm happy to do it. It's been good. I've enjoyed it. As I say, I don't do as much of it. I think when I first started doing it, it was like every bloody week you were trying to collab with a Norwich fan or a Burnley fan, and then I was just like, it's too much hassle. So now I just do stuff I enjoy. So when I was asked to do this, I thought, well, I did it a few years ago. It's a good chat. I like the fact that it's not all modern. I think a lot of content providers are obsessed with the modern, and I actually quite like talking about, especially with Arsenal, because there's a rich history there between the two clubs. So yeah, I'm happy to come back on again. Great.
That's lovely, because this is my new little show, and on the other show we were just guests on that show, so it was great. And you know what, I really don't do anything controversial. I'm not into, I don't know how many people have watched this show. I'm not even looking at numbers. For me, it's having a really decent chat with a United fan. We've got a game coming up. Both our clubs are in a little bit of disarray. You've both got owners we don't want, you know, and for me, it's just having a chat like you're down the pub with another fan. So I can't thank you enough for coming on, Mark. And
I've enjoyed it.
Been fantastic. Thank you. And I'd love to get you on towards maybe the end of the season. Let's see how our clubs do, because I think it's going to go Tottenham, United, Arsenal, United, and Arsenal be there. It could each week. It's between the three of us. And again, it is, Mark.
We've got you and Chelsea. If we get a result against you and Chelsea, then yeah. But if we don't, we can leave. You can leave. I said in January we won't get top four, so I'm yet to be convinced. But I do think it's definitely between you and Arsenal and you and Spurs, and that game in mid-May is going to be really interesting.
Oh, God, and you know what? I'm not going. I'm not going to that game. There's reasons I won't go to White Hart Lane anymore. I'm going to have to let you go on. I could chat to you, and we've got hundreds of questions, and I want to thank you, Mark, absolutely, for coming on. But I'd love to thank all your fellow United fans, because it's been absolutely lovely. I love chatting to rival fans because we all love football, and we all love our clubs like our families, don't we? And when your clubs are hurting, you're hurting, you know, and we just all want success for our club to have the right manager, the right team, and bang, we challenge for the league, Champions League, everything. I miss the Champions League. All Arsenal fans do. So, Mark, thank you so much. Everybody in the chat, you've been amazing. I'm so sorry I couldn't do more questions and stuff, but I hope you've enjoyed it. You're always welcome back to the Always Arsenal show. I'm back next Friday night. We play West Ham on the Sunday. So I'll be chatting to that, because I won't do a post-game show because hopefully I'm going. I'd say, Mark, I wish you well for the season.
You don't need to. We're past that now anyway. So we're not going to do that well. We'll see what happens with you and Spurs. I mean, that's the thing, isn't it? You and Spurs, it's like missing out on fourth will be horrible, but when missing out to, it'd be like us fighting Liverpool for fourth. You know, it's just you don't want to miss out anyway, and you definitely don't want to miss out to your rivals. So yeah.
Just do a quick prediction for Saturday.
I think I'm going to go 2-0 Arsenal. I think it's the safest bet.
Yeah, I'm going 2-0 Arsenal. And where do you think you'll end up? 4th, 5th, or 6th?
We've got to finish at least 6th. I genuinely think we need to be in the Europa League, because you look at what West Ham have done. It's another route into the Champions League if you win it. So, but yeah, we might not win that many. We've got you, Chelsea, Brentford, and then we've got Brighton and Palace away. I mean, we've got to find some wins somewhere, really. Just otherwise, we could go as low as like 7th or 8th. So, I don't know where we're going to be. We'll have to see. To be honest, the game on Saturday will tell us a lot about what we're going to do at the rest of the season, really.
Yeah, no, I think Arsenal will come 5th. I'm afraid. Sorry, Arsenal fans, I don't think we're going to do it. I think those 3 losses have cost us big dearly. But Mark, thank you, darling. I'm going to let you go. You've been absolutely brilliant. Everybody in the chat, thank you so much. To all the United fans, I hope you get stuffed at the Emirates on Saturday. To all the Arsenal fans, I'll be at the Emirates. Thank you, everyone. I've loved it, Mark. Absolute star. Thank you so much. Good luck with everything you do, and don't let the trolls get to you, that's for sure.
No worries. Thanks very much. Thanks for having me on.
Always Arsenal. Always Arsenal.